For this part of the video tutorial, we'll be creating the student login function, which looks like this if logged in successfully. And if logged in successfully, it will show the student's details, subjects, and account details. Let's create a new project. Let's name it as student login. Let's delete the comments. And let's import the following packages. This time, we'll make use of another import java.sql package, as this will be connected to our database. Let's again create our private Derby connection, private connection, and private statement. This time, let's input a following variable, string username. And let's create our public student login with the parameters. The reason for the string username is that it will get the current credentials, and it will input from the JTable the account where the username and password matches. That's the use of the string username, and this is from the current project that we have done, which is the old student frame that asks the user's credentials to log in. Once again, we can just copy the create GUI method and the connect to DB method. Let's change its title. And we can just copy the connect to DB method, since it's just the same. Let's create our add components method. Let's create our center panel. And let's create our labels. Let's set the labels bounds. And let's create our buttons. Let's create our table now. Let's define the columns for the J table. Let's create the new JTables parameters. And let's create a scroll pane to add our J table. Let's fix its bounds. And let's add the scroll pane that includes our J table. This is for table 1, by the way. We have 3 tables. Let's create the following variable. Let's create our private object query. This for the values of the J table. This for table 1, by the way. So we'll be creating 3 private objects queries and 3 J tables. Let's create our SQL statement that selects all from the student's info table. This is to get the total number of rows. And let's include our try-catch method. And let's include our derby.execute query method. The while.rs that's next is for checking the database variables one by one. The total rows plus equals 1 is for of a statement in a variable. Next, we'll be holding the data for the G table. For the total rows plus equals 1, this for the record is visible, then the total rows will count it. And number 6 came from the total number of fields in the database. This refers to our database table. Now let's execute our query. Let's indicate the starting row count for the J table. And this will loop through the records in the result set. And let's assign a data to the variable temporarily. Let's create the object representation of data as row. And lastly, let's assign row data to object. Let's increment. This to avoid overwriting of data in the process. And lastly, let's return the data with all the information provided. Now, since that is settled, let's now create our table 2. And this is the student info table. But for that, let's just input our J label. For the J label, this includes the student's details and student subjects. Table 1 is for the student info. Table 2 is for the student subjects. And table 3 for the account details of that student. For the table 2, we can just get table 1 and let's change its values to 2. But this time, it is the grade year, track, and schedule we're talking about. Let's change it to 2. But we have to be careful every time we're doing this. For the query 2, we can just copy query 1 and change its values. Since the same goes for its principal. But this time, instead of selecting from the TBL student info, we'll be selecting from the student subjects. Let's change its total row count. And let's change the assigned values temporarily. This includes our string grade year, our string track, and our string schedule. The same goes for the object representation of data's row. Let's change that to grade year, track, and schedule. The same goes for the last table, our table 3. Let's create our label. And let's set its bounds. Let's just copy that and change it to 3 this time. Let's change that to account username and account password. Once again, let's copy the query for table 3 and let's change that to query 3. This time, instead of selecting from the TBL subjects, we will now be selecting from the TBL student info. Let's change the assigned variables. Let's change that to string account username and the string account pass. Okay, now we are done with our student login. See you on the next part of the video.